The Trump administration recently declassified the Epstein files. However, were they completely truthful about what was in them? We're going to break down their behavior, body language, and the evidence to finally reveal the truth. Now, let's get started.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is
the Trump administration released the Epstein files the day before, and many people weren't very happy with the amount of detail they decided to release. They didn't release any potential Epstein client names. They didn't release whether Epstein was a government agent, either foreign or domestic. And the prison videotape that they decided to finally release, after they said for years that there was no video because it just wasn't recording, was quite bogus. We'll get to that in a little bit. So the reporter is asking Pam Bondi, who is the Attorney General, for more detail. Now watch Trump's body language here and see what you think of his subconscious body language response when the reporter asks about Epstein possibly being a government agent.
Whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney, Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency.
In this case, the federal office intervened before the plea was taken and said, stop. Because if that plea is taken at the state level, you're going to face serious federal issues.
So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say...
At that very moment, Trump shows some discomfort, shifting in his seat and also giving off a heavy breathing sigh. That indicates there's something in the reporter's question that is causing Trump to feel quite uncomfortable. Is it possible that they don't want to reveal any government ties or something like that? It's possible, or it can mean in general that Trump does not feel comfortable talking about the Epstein case. Or it can be both. We just know that he does not feel very comfortable in that moment. It's because the psychological stress of feeling uncomfortable creates a subconscious physiological response in their body language to move around and take a breath. It's because they're trying to ease their anxiousness and nervousness and talking about the topic.
Why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam,
could...
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second?
Now watch Trump's body language here and notice any convincing and not just conveying. And then we'll rewind it and break it down.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, Trump starts his convincing to the public to not care about Jeffrey Epstein. And he does that with one of these expressions.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
That large body language cluster he did there is overemphasizing what he's trying to convince the public of. That he shouldn't really care about Jeffrey Epstein. However, that extremity of body language that he did there makes absolutely no sense for the situation. This is why in body language, it's important to look at situation, context, and cluster. If you're just looking at this independently with no sound on, no situation, context, or anything involved, you're just looking at the pure body language, you would not really be able to decipher the truth. For example, if Trump would have said, "You're still talking about that lint on my suit yesterday?" That would make sense to the situation and context, and that cluster would make sense for that situation and context. So that would be an appropriate response from Trump to criticize the reporter for bringing up lint on his suit yesterday. We have things to talk about. You're talking about lint on my suit? It makes sense. However, the reporter is not asking about lint on the president's suit. They're asking the president about possibly one of the biggest scandals of the entire century.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
His behavior, context, and cluster are not congruent at all. An appropriate response from Trump would be something like, "Yeah, we just declassified that case yesterday. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions about it." See, that's an appropriate, congruent response.
This guy's been talked about for years.
A 1992 party at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein shared a joke and a laugh. NFL cheerleaders danced among the crowd.
Yes, Trump apparently knew Jeffrey Epstein quite well. To what extent they were buddies and friends, and whether Trump was on the island, we don't know to that extent, but we do know that they knew each other and probably knew each other decently well. And we know this not just because of a 1992 video, but there was also a 2017 audio tape of Jeffrey Epstein talking about his relationship with Trump.
He is charming, so he tells everybody what they want to hear.
So how do you know this?
That was close to straight.
We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things.
And this is when Trump starts his minimization campaign of convincing and not just conveying. We have Texas, we have this, we have all these other things going on. Why are you talking about one of the biggest scandals of the entire century that was just declassified yesterday? But what do you think this seems to indicate? Yes, this indicates that the Trump administration likely strategically decided to declassify the Epstein case right when a big news story such as the Texas floods was being discussed in the media in order to try to cover up the releasing of the Epstein case so they don't really have to take any questions or talk about the Epstein case anymore. White House administrations often employ this strategy. Anything an administration doesn't really want to talk about, they strategically decide to release during some bigger story where it can just get buried in the back pages of the newspaper. As Trump keeps oddly, incongruently minimizing this case, it starts to become even more obvious that, maybe Elon Musk was right. Is Trump in the Epstein files? We know that Epstein was in New York City a lot and also moved down to Florida, and oddly two states and cities that Trump has also occupied a lot too.
People in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan.
But in a 2002 magazine article, Trump called Epstein a terrific guy, adding, "It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side."
Mr. President, do you still think Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy?
I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his.
He said they haven't spoken for years.
Wait a second. Was Elon Musk right? Not saying he is right. It just makes us wonder, is that what's really going on here? Let's keep watching.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? I threw him out of a club. I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time?
Now even more minimization by Trump, and he even uses a double bind question.
Do you want to waste the time?
I don't remember hearing a double bind question from Trump since the 2016 debates. In that kind of double bind that Trump used to minimize the situation, if the reporter responds yes, he admits that it's a waste of time. If the reporter responds with no, it just dies there. This is actually quite shocking. Trump is going full force to not talk about the Epstein case.
Do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
I can't believe you're asking a question about one of the biggest cover-ups and scandals in American history. See, completely incongruent. It makes absolutely no sense to say that. So there appears to be a suspicious reason why Trump doesn't want to talk about this case.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there.
You don't want to put false accusations out there where it could ruin someone's life. However, the public wants to know who was involved here. Let's be real. If this happened in Alabama with Joe Smith, you know that every single person involved would be announced publicly. It would not be a secret. It would not be covered up. It would all be publicly available, and there would be many people prosecuted. However, because the clients in the Epstein case have hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars in their bank accounts and not $5, they're not being prosecuted. That's what seems to be the reason. Sadly, a lot about our justice system is being revealed here. Let's keep watching.
At a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas, it just seems like a desecration.
It's such a desecration to talk about the biggest hole in the biggest case of the entire century that was just declassified yesterday. Makes absolutely no sense. It's completely incongruent with what happened and what is happening. There is clearly cover-up going on here.
But you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them? Are we going to see who was on the flights?
What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. Meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
A lot of flight logs, a lot of names.
Where is all that information you said you were going to give us? We have nothing. What happened to the names? What happened to the flight log? What happened to the clients? What happened to the co-conspirators? All of a sudden, nothing? Nothing? So now you're really claiming that the case is just Jeffrey just getting inappropriate massages? That's all it was? That's all it was? There was no express jet going to the island? There was no island? How is this possible? I've never seen gaslighting done at this level before in my entire life. What the hell?
According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
A lot of flight logs, a lot of names.
Yep, that's where they probably went, right into the shredder.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be downloaded.
And then the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, uses the manipulation tactic of maximization. The reporter didn't ask to see, and no one is asking to see any of those inappropriate videotapes from Jeffrey Epstein. No one is asking to see that at all. But Attorney General Pam Bondi curiously brings that up proactively where no one is asking to see that. That is a strategic manipulation tactic to garner support to her side and the administration side to not talk about this case anymore, where she's building the case and to give a talking point to people who just blindly follow the administration.
By that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein's disgusting. Who wants to talk about a disgusting person like that? Also, anyone bringing up this topic now of wanting to see evidence, you're just disgusting because you just want to see that disgusting evidence from Jeffrey Epstein. That's manipulation using maximization. Not a single normal person is asking to see any of Jeffrey Epstein's videos. The public is asking for potential client names, people that were on the flights, people that possibly need to be held accountable. Just because someone is a billionaire or is a politician, world leader, doesn't mean that they get to do things that are disgusting in this world. Also, notice a curious detail about the videos that she slips in there. Watch that part again.
Downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Downloaded? Downloaded? What, like from a third party? So now that whole thing of Jeffrey Epstein videoing to blackmail people doesn't exist anymore? Any video was just from a third party? That's what it was? What? This is ridiculous. So now all of a sudden that video that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly took to possibly blackmail doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. It vanished. It's gone. The footage is gone. Not only gone, it just never existed. It was all just a figment of our imagination that Jeffrey Epstein was doing that. My mind is exploding from the level of gaslighting that is being done here. This is ridiculous.
Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent.
Now watch this part of the Attorney General talking about Jeffrey Epstein possibly being an agent and see what you think. Then we'll rewind it and break it down.
I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
Do you think Attorney General Pam Bondi knows anything about that?
I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
Yes, her body language in that situation and context doesn't appear that she's very surprised. If this was the first time she ever heard about that, she would be like, agent of what? What are you talking about? She apparently knows what the reporter is talking about. So clearly this is something that she is aware of, but to what extent, whether he was an agent or not, we don't really have that detail. But she is very aware of that accusation and that idea that Epstein was possibly a foreign or domestic agent or asset of some sort. And the theory is that maybe a foreign or domestic government is behind what Epstein was doing to either gain control and have power over people in politics and in business.
And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively.
And the prison video that they released could have been any prison cell in basically any part of the world.
You're going to see there's no one there but him. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
It did not show Jeffrey Epstein going in the cell. It didn't show Jeffrey Epstein in the cell. It didn't show Jeffrey Epstein being taken out of the cell when maybe the coroner was taking him out of the cell. None of that. None of it was shown. It could have been any video from any prison in any part of the world. There was really zero indication that that was Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell or Jeffrey Epstein was even in the prison cell.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
The video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter.
Also, yes, there was curiously 1 minute missing in that video. Just enough time for someone to go into the prison cell, do what they needed to do to Epstein, and leave.
And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999.
What Pam Bondi is doing there is now minimization. Maximization to make you feel like you're crazy for asking questions, and minimization making it seem like the questions aren't even worth asking.
So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
Every night has the same 1 minute missing? All the time, every night? So then it's really easy and they exactly know when they can go in and they will never be on camera. That actually proves that maybe they did it in that minute where they knew they will never be on camera. If after they reviewed the case, things are different than what they expected, then come out and talk to us about it. Say, hey, everything that you probably thought, some of that didn't really turn out to be true. Then talk to us about it. Talk to us like adults. Don't talk to us like children that you think you can just easily gaslight. We know what's going on here.
So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Don't ask us about the biggest scandal. Don't ask us about the biggest cover-up. You shouldn't have any more questions about that, even though what we gave you is basically completely different to what everyone understood the case to be. Epstein didn't video record any clients because there were no clients. There was no jet. There was no island. Do you believe that? They don't want to prosecute billionaire donors, businessmen, politicians, US politicians, world leaders. They would have to go after all those people doing nefarious things that they have on tape. So what do they apparently do? They don't want to admit that there are video recordings. Also, they can release a client list, but don't have to specifically accuse anyone of anything. Could just say, hey, these are the people that it does appear that may be involved in this, but they're innocent until proven guilty. They could say that. They don't have to say, these people are definitely guilty and just blacklist them and they should lose their entire lives. No, they're innocent until proven guilty, and right now they seem to have been implicated in this, and they may need to be prosecuted. But again, that's the problem. They would have to start prosecuting very, very powerful and wealthy people. They don't want to do that. Now with the Attorney General saying that there were no clients and that was all a figment of our imagination, all of this even further points to what a lot of us already believed, which was Epstein was taken out in jail. Now in the comments, why do you believe they are not releasing the Epstein client list? Do you think there's too many donors? Do you think there's too many powerful people? Do you think there's too many billionaires, politicians, world leaders? Or maybe do you believe that there were just never clients and clients were just a figment of our imagination? What do you think? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. I just cannot believe how much gaslighting is involved here. I've never seen something like this. Have you? This is next level. That's what we got for you. Many more videos to come. See you soon.